Part 4, The Council's Decision. The High Council chamber was a place of quiet power, its walls lined with glowing runes and its air thick with the scent of incense. Elias stood at the center of the room, flanked by Princess Ain and King Velos. Around them, the members of the council watched with unreadable expressions. Elias shifted uncomfortably. So, what's the verdict? Am I getting a spaceship, or are we skipping straight to the part where I save the galaxy? Ain elbowed him gently. Be serious, Elias. King Velos stepped forward, his golden eyes locking onto Elias. Sergeant Roar, you have proven yourself worthy of the gift we have given you. But now, you must understand the full extent of what is at stake. Elias crossed his arms. Yeah, about that. Ain mentioned something about a bigger threat. Care to fill me in? One of the council members, an elder with iridescent skin and a voice like rolling thunder, spoke. The Zari Dominion is not the only power in this galaxy. There are others, forces that seek to destroy all we have built. One such force is the Krylos, a race of ancient beings who thrive on chaos and destruction. Elias raised an eyebrow. Sounds charming. What do they want? To consume, the elder replied. To reduce all life to ash and dust. They have been dormant for millennia, but now, they stir. If they rise, not even the combined might of the Zari and humanity will be enough to stop them. Elias frowned. And you think I can help? King Velos nodded. You are the bridge between our species, Sergeant Roar. Your unique perspective, combined with the knowledge we have given you, makes you the key to uniting our people against this threat. Elias rubbed the back of his neck. No pressure, huh? Ain stepped forward, her voice steady. Elias, this isn't just about us. It's about everyone, humans, Zari, every species in this galaxy. If we don't stand together, we will all fall. Elias was silent for a long moment. Then he sighed. All right, fine. I'm in. But I've got one condition. King Velos raised an eyebrow. And what is that? Elias grinned. I want a spaceship. A cool one. The council erupted into murmurs, but Velos held up a hand, silencing them. He studied Elias for a moment, then smiled. Very well. You shall have your ship. Part 2, The Palace of Secrets. The Zari Palace was a marvel of alien architecture, a sprawling complex of iridescent spires and shimmering walkways that seemed to defy gravity. As Elias stepped off the evac ship, he couldn't help but feel out of place. His battered armor and scuffed boots were a stark contrast to the gleaming perfection around him. Princess Ain walked beside him, her posture regal despite her injuries. Welcome to the heart of the Zari Dominion, she said, her voice tinged with pride. Elias whistled low. Yeah, this is definitely not Kansas. Ain shot him a curious look. Kansas? Never mind, Elias said, shaking his head. So, what's the plan? Am I getting a medal, or are we skipping straight to the part where your dad throws me in a dungeon? Ain smirked. My father is not the dungeon-throwing type. But he will want to meet you. Elias groaned. Great. Just what I need, a chat with an alien king. As they walked through the palace, Elias couldn't help but notice the stairs. The Zari guards, tall and insectoid with glowing spears, watched him with unreadable expressions. The palace staff, a mix of humanoid and more exotic alien species, whispered behind his back. Do I have something on my face? Elias muttered. They're just not used to seeing humans here, Ain explained. Especially ones who've saved a member of the royal family. Lucky me, Elias said dryly. They reached the throne room, a vast chamber with walls that pulsed with bioluminescent light. At the center sat King Velos, a towering figure with dark purple skin and golden eyes that seemed to pierce through Elias's soul. Ain bowed her head. Father, this is Sergeant Elias Roar. Elias gave a sloppy salute. Hey. Nice place you've got here. King Velos studied him for a long moment, then smiled. You are bold, human. And you saved my daughter's life. For that, you have my gratitude. Elias shrugged. Just doing my job, Your Majesty. Velos leaned forward, his expression serious. But gratitude is not enough. You have been given a great gift, Sergeant Roar. The knowledge of the Zari now flows through you. Do you understand what that means? Elias hesitated. Not really, no. Velos gestured, and a ceremonial attendant stepped forward, holding a small, pulsating device. Elias's eyes widened as it was pressed against his temple. What the? The world exploded into light. Part 1, The Battlefield Rescue. The battlefield was a wasteland of smoke, fire, and the metallic tang of blood. The air crackled with the energy of plasma bolts, and the ground trembled under the weight of war machines. Sergeant Elias Roar crouched behind the smoldering wreckage of a Zari exotank, his rifle clutched tightly in his hands. His armor was battered, his visor cracked, and his body ached from hours of relentless combat. Command, this is Roar, he muttered into his comms, his voice hoarse. Still alive, still kicking, and still wondering whose bright idea it was to send me into this mess. Static buzzed in his ear before a familiar voice responded, laced with exasperation. That would be you, Roar. You volunteered, remember? Elias frowned. That doesn't sound like me. Are you sure I wasn't tricked? Maybe drugged? Hypnotized by an alien mind ray? Move your ass, Sergeant, the voice snapped. Elias sighed and peeked over the edge of his cover. The Zari forces were advancing, their sleek, insectoid armor glinting in the firelight. Their weapons hummed with deadly energy, and Elias knew better than to underestimate them. But something caught his eye, a Zari transport shuttle, half-crushed under a fallen anti-air turret. Its emergency lights flickered weakly, and there was movement inside. Great, Elias muttered. Just what I needed, another distraction. Against his better judgment, he sprinted toward the shuttle, dodging plasma fire and leaping over debris. He slid behind the shuttle's broken hull, his heart pounding. Hello, he called out. Anyone in there? A rustling sound, then a voice, sharp, female, and laced with pain. Who's there? Someone who's probably going to regret this, Elias replied. You hurt? A pause, then the voice responded, I can't move. Elias peered inside and froze. The woman, no, the alien, was unlike anything he'd ever seen. Her silver eyes glowed with an otherworldly light, and her pale skin was streaked with dark violet blood. But what really caught his attention was the emblem on her chest plate, a royal insignia. Ah, hell, Elias muttered. You're a princess, aren't you? She raised an eyebrow. Ain of the Zari Dominion. And you are? Sergeant Elias Roar. At your service, Your Highness. Ain tried to stand but winced, clutching her side. Elias caught her before she could collapse. Yeah, no. We're not doing the whole, I can handle this routine. You need help. Before she could argue, a plasma bolt screamed past Elias's head, slamming into the shuttle. He swore and ducked, pulling Ain down with him. Looks like we've got company. The next few minutes were a blur of gunfire, running, and creative swearing. Elias covered their escape, his enhanced reflexes kicking in as he dodged enemy fire. Finally, the roar of an evac ship filled the air, and Elias half-dragged, half-carried Ain aboard. As the ship lifted off, Elias collapsed onto the floor, gasping for breath. That, he panted, was not in my job description. Ain leaned against him, a faint smile on her lips. I'm beginning to like you, human. Elias groaned. Oh, great. I've been adopted. Little did he know, his life was about to take a very strange turn. Part 3, The Training Grounds. The pain was unlike anything Elias had ever experienced. It wasn't just physical, it was as if his mind was being torn apart and stitched back together. Visions flashed before his eyes, ancient battles, alien languages, and technologies far beyond human comprehension. When the light finally faded, Elias collapsed to his knees, gasping for breath. What the hell was that? He managed to choke out. King Velos's voice was calm. You have been given the knowledge of the Zari, Sergeant Roar. No human has ever possessed such a gift. Elias blinked, his vision slowly clearing. He looked down at his hands, half expecting them to glow. So, what? I'm like a Zari encyclopedia now. Ain stepped forward, her expression a mix of amusement and concern. You'll need time to adjust. The knowledge is overwhelming at first. No kidding, Elias muttered, rubbing his temples. I feel like my brain's been through a blender. Velos gestured to a nearby attendant. Take him to the training grounds. He will need to learn how to harness his new abilities. Elias groaned. Of course. More training. Just what I needed. The training grounds were a vast, open arena surrounded by towering walls of shimmering metal. In the center stood Vor, the Zari combat instructor Elias had met briefly before. The four-armed warrior cracked his knuckles as Elias approached. You are human, Vor rumbled. This training will be difficult for you. Elias forced a grin. Hey, I grew up in a rough neighborhood. I once saw a guy get stabbed over a sandwich. I think I can handle a little alien boot camp. Vor didn't smile. We shall see. The first round was a blur of motion. Vor moved faster than Elias could track, his four fists a whirlwind of strikes. Elias barely had time to react before he was knocked flat on his back. Okay, he wheezed, staring up at the ceiling. That was humbling. Ain, watching from the sidelines, called out, Stop stalling, Elias. Elias pushed himself to his feet, shaking his head. Easy for you to say. You're not the one getting pummeled by a four-armed giant. Vor lunged again, but this time, Elias's body moved on its own. He ducked, pivoted, and countered with a strike that sent Vor stumbling backward. The room fell silent. Vor straightened, his expression unreadable. Perhaps you are not entirely useless. Elias grinned. Thanks, big guy. That's the nicest thing anyone said to me all week. Over the next few days, Elias trained relentlessly. The Zari knowledge flowing through him gave him an edge, but it was his human instincts that truly set him apart. He learned to combine his newfound abilities with his own combat experience, creating a fighting style that was uniquely his own. Ain watched him closely, her silver eyes filled with a mix of admiration and something else, something Elias couldn't quite place. You're adapting faster than we expected, she said one evening as they stood on a balcony overlooking the city. Elias shrugged. Guess I'm a quick learner. She smiled. Or maybe you were meant for this. Elias turned to her, his expression serious. Ain, what's really going on here? Why did your father give me this gift? What's he expecting from me? Ain hesitated, her gaze drifting to the horizon. The Zari Dominion is facing a threat far greater than the human war. My father believes you can help us stop it. Elias frowned. Me? Why me? Because you're different, Ain said simply. You see things we don't. You think in ways we can't. And you have something we've lost, hope. Elias was silent for a long moment. Then he smirked. Well, when you put it like that, how can I say no? Ain laughed, the sound like music in the cool night air. You're impossible, Elias. Yeah, he said, leaning on the railing. But you're stuck with me now.